Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Now for some reason the volume on the mic seems to be higher. I don't know why that is. I don't know how to turn it down, so I'm very bad technically. But anyway, I wanted to talk about my blog, which is the Chess Bum, and use that to talk about ECF and FIDE ratings. So I wanted to discuss ratings because people are generally obsessed, chess players are generally obsessed with FIDE ratings in particular, but also ECF ratings. So what's the difference between ECF and FIDE ratings? Well, people tend to care more about FIDE ratings because FIDE ratings can qualify you for titles. If you're above 2500, then you could potentially get a title. You could get like a Grandmaster title. If you're above 2300, you could get an FM title. You do have to pay for titles, by the way. A friend of mine, David Eggleston, has already got 3 GM Dorbs. He's actually paid for his Grandmaster title up front to FIDE. But unfortunately, his rating now is only running about 2350. So there's obviously a strong, he's already got the norms, but there's a strong possibility that he may never receive the GM title, so he may have spent that for nothing. But obviously he was confident at the time that he would get it. Now yeah, so what I did, actually did a survey, and I looked at I worked out the average ratings of the top 100 players from the ECF. And I compared that to the average rating when you had the same top 100 in England. Obviously, there might not be exactly the same players, but the average top 100 ECF seemed to be about 2380. Now, I did try it to do that a few times because it's actually not as easy as you think, or not as easy for me to input 100 numbers in correctly into the calculator without making a mistake. And but I got about roughly 2380 as the average. Obviously that's not the peak. The peak is about 2780, but the average comes out about 2380. The average rating of top 100 English players at Over the Board Classical was 2314. Yeah, admittedly, putting 100 ratings into a calculator without making mistakes wasn't a straightforward task, yeah. So I worked out that roughly, because also the top 20 players I did as well before that, and the average was coming out as about 2597 for the top 20 players at ECF. My own rating is 2491, so that puts me at 20th. I'm actually 25th on FIDE ratings. I think I'm slightly higher because I probably play more chess than most people, so therefore I'm getting bumped up by playing weekenders. If I have a good weekender, that'll bump me up. So potentially you could argue that ECF ratings are more accurate because people who play more, that's reflected in their results, reflected in their rating, I should say. Whereas for FIDE it was only 2534, so that's roughly about a 60-point difference. So if you play a tournament or you play a league match and you see your opponent's ECF rating and you're struggling to work out what that actual strength is in relation to FIDE, I would say roughly use about a 60-point margin. So it was interesting from that perspective. Obviously, as I mentioned before, ECF ratings, I remember one title player once said to me they're worth about as much as toilet paper, ECF ratings. But that was actually when we had the BCF ratings. So I went on to explain that when I played a London League match for Charlton in the London League, would have been at Bishopsgate. It was around about the age of 11 or 12. So you had these kind of plastic sets. You'd probably have a wooden cupboard that we used to get the boards out. We used to put out the boards. The first time I played for Charlton would have been in the second team, and I was about 11 or 12. That was around about the time when I started playing more serious chess. Before then I just played school competition. I never played junior chess. Even after that I never played junior chess, which is strange. But I remember playing somebody on board 1, and there's a guy called, I think he was called something like Nestor, and it stuck out in my mind because he was about 195, 196 grade, and I beat him. And I was only about 110 at the time, so it was a massive rating upset. But it wasn't like he played that badly. I mean, I was just a lot better than my rating. So I won that game. And then I go on to say in the blog, yeah, so he asked me for my rating afterwards, and I said, you know, I'm about 110 or whatever my rating was at the time. Obviously, I would have known exactly what my rating was. I've now forgotten what my rating was exactly at that time. It would have been about 110, maybe 120 at best. And he said, oh shit. So that would have been around about the start of when I got the first rating. So the question is, why do you need two rating systems at all? Now, the reason you need two rating systems is because when you... actually, I don't know why I've got the headphones on, by the way. But when you play in FIDE rated tournaments, you need a qualified arbiter, a qualified FIDE arbiter. So they need to take the exams that FIDE, you know, give to gain that FIDE registered arbiter. Normally you have to pay the money, you know, maybe a small fee to be that arbiter. And yeah, that's it really. So yeah, so that's basically the conditions. And a lot of league chess that also resist the idea of having their games FIDE rated, so people will vote against that at AGMs and stuff like that, about having the possibility of being FIDE rated. A lot of tournaments resist the idea of having FIDE rated games. For example, recently I played Bournemouth, which had very good prize money. That was down in Dorset, but it wasn't FIDE rated. I presume they could have had it FIDE rated, but maybe they were afraid of putting people off, which is crazy, right? I think there should be more FIDE rated games, and I think you should have a universal system. Please leave your comments down below. What do you think about ratings? Do you spend a lot of time paying attention to ratings like most chess players do? What is your rating? What was the first rating you got? Anything like that is great. And what are your ambitions? What do you think you can get to? Now, I'm currently rated, if we look at the ECF top players, I'm currently rated number 20. If I'm 24.91, I believe I have been higher than that before. If I click on my profile, does it actually show you what your highest ever has been? Probably doesn't show you, does it? Oh no, it does show rating history, but this is more recent history. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying, they changed. So my highest rating was actually 25.23. That was, but I went down because everybody's been going down. I actually went down all the way down to 24.39, and I've started a little bit of a comeback. Yeah, so what was the highest BCF rating? 250. Proud of that. Yeah, that was a level that we looked up to. So when I was younger, we looked up to players. Anyone over 200 was considered like a very strong player. I believe I got my first rating when I started to get serious ratings. I think I went from I had a long period where I plateaued around about, like I say, I got that rating about 110, 120, but I plateaued around about the 130 level for several years. It was only about when I got 15. I think 15 I was about 150. 16 I was 170. 17 I was 190. 18 I was like 210, and then 19 I would have been like 220. So I was considered at that time to be the most improved player in the country, and I hadn't played like a FIDE rated game, you know, up until when I was about 17. So, you know, around about 1994 was when I first played FIDE rated chess, possibly in the 4NCL. I played a tournament, I remember, in London. It was in the old Chester Bridge Centre in Euston. But yeah, we used to consider, I looked up to players like John Nunn, who would play in weekend congresses, people like, you know, John Spillman, Mark Hebden. Mark Hebden has been quite ill actually, so wish him a speedy recovery. He didn't turn up for the 4NCL because he unfortunately collapsed on his floor. So hopefully he can recover. But yeah, we used to look up to players like that. Obviously then you had, later on, you had people like Michael Adams came along. And potentially got ratings like 260, 270. But yeah, 250 is obviously like a GM level grade, right? But that was the old BCF grades. Rapid play I'm a bit high, I'm 25.91, that's probably my best time control. Blitz, funny enough, blitz ratings seem to be deflated because if we look at, how do we look at, they also have a live thing, which is a good thing that the ECF have introduced. Maybe the ECF could introduce national titles as well. So you could have, if we just look at blitz, for example, yeah, I'm even in the top 10 in the country, and there are not that many, even people like Michael Adams only 25, 27, right, which sounds crazy, right? You know, I'm like number 9, you know, with 23.54, which is crazy. Shreyas Royal, who's a 2500 player, really, he's only 23.43. So yeah, it's generally Gawain is like the, you know, the mega star there, 26.31, but even he doesn't have a rating reflective of what he is at classical, so a little bit deflated there, if anything. Rapid play Gawain has dropped a little bit, but he's still 27, still way above everybody else. I'm number 4 at rapid, but again, that's possibly reflected by people like Adams and obviously David Howe. I mean, Nikita's stronger than me at rapid. It's just some of these ratings are a bit silly. I mean, you know, David Howe obviously doesn't feature on the list because he hasn't. Oh, Michael Adams is on the list, right? Sorry, I should. Luke McShane isn't on the list. He would be higher than me as well. But yeah, it's nice to be number 4. I mean, that's, you know, some sort of achievement, I guess. But obviously, there's less players on those kind of rapid and blitz list because people play less rapid and blitz and they play classical. All the same players play classical, but some of them just don't play rapid and blitz much. So anyway, so that was yeah, and obviously you have similar ratings for FIDE. Nikita is number 1 on that, but the ratings are slightly lower. So yeah, so that's my Substack post about that. Please leave your comments down below. Please check out my Substack. I'll leave a link. I need to gloss it up a bit because you see there I don't really have like a glossy profile picture. Should I be adding pictures to this? I don't know how to add pictures. I'm not very confident on using the internet, using a blog. I need to Google all this. Maybe yeah, maybe I should add maybe I should also mention that I had a Google blog back in the day, and I had like over 100,000 views on it. I remember being quite proud of that, and it was, you know, that was one of the reasons I got a contract to write a book for a Niditch company, because he'd seen my blog. So that's, I wrote A Year in the Chess World. But what I've noticed now is there's an awful lot of people doing chess blogs. I think back then it was a lot less common, but now everybody's doing it. So it's the same thing, it gets oversaturated. You can make money from Substack, apparently. I will need a unique tax reference number. I'm not sure how to get that. I also need information from the bank. But you can get it linked to like a pay thing, and then make some of your posts you know, pay to view, but it's essentially hosted on Substack, so you don't really have your own blog. It belongs to Substack. If you have a Google blog, that's your own page. That's what I read. Anyway, I was confused, you know, about that, but that's what they're saying. Should I go back to Google? What do you think? Please leave your comments down below. Should I go back to Google blogs, or should I try Substack? What I might try and do is try and like monetize it and see whether I can make any money out of the monetization. I think it's hard to like pick up I think I'm a decent writer. If you look at my blogs, they're quite good blogs, but it's hard to pick up a lot of readers because it's so competitive a world. Anyway, that was my comment about the ratings. Please leave your comment below about ratings, what you think about ratings. Do you think that there should be a universal rating system? And what are your aims as a player? What sort of rating are you, and what sort of rate do you aspire to get to? And that's it.